mentioned in my like channel trailer video introduction thing that I play some other instruments other than guitar. Um, and Slipewater, I think that's her name, uh, said that they would be interested in seeing more about these other instruments. So, first one for today is my Chifteli. It is quite small. It's like maybe the length of like a ukulele ish, somewhere around there. Very small body, and it has two strings, as you can see by the two pegs for the tuners, and it is from Albania. Uh, so the Albanian Çifteli is kind of like, it's a symbol of national pride from what I understand. And you'll see the two-headed eagle from the Albanian flag on a lot of Çiftelis, like this one. This one in particular is not like the highest end, instrument. I got it from like Etsy. But I do like it. It's actually my favorite non-standard, like, Western instrument that I have. So, I guess a little bit more information about this. It has a floating bridge, which means that you can move it around, which is kind of annoying because it does mean that sometimes I'll move it on accident and then the notes will be a little bit out of tune. It has like this, so like that's this actual saddle, and then the main bridge is right here. Has two sound holes, has one small one right there, and then it has another one on the top right here. And then like this specific one has some, ornamentation right there, and then birds on either side, and then all these symbols around it. And it has friction pegs, which, if you don't know, those are like violin tuners. They're different from like guitar tuners, which are machine heads. They have like gears in them. Friction pegs just hold in strings through friction. Because this is a lower end instrument, the pegs aren't the greatest, so the tuning is not the best. But, I make do with what I have, So the most interesting thing to me about this instrument is that it is microtonal. If you don't know what microtones are, in the Western music theory, Western music scale, you have 12 tones. So that would be, your A sharp, B, so on and so forth. And each of those is equidistant from each other. And it's very like set in stone. But then in other cultures, they use, some cultures anyway, use scales that either add extra notes in between those same 12 notes, or they have entirely different systems altogether. This one specifically, I believe, uses just a normal like a 24 tone equal temperament, which is just like putting a tone equidistant between the two existing like tones. So like between A and A sharp, there'll be A half sharp. I hope I explained that well enough. So this in particular, on top of being microtonal, it's also what's called diatonic. So it has metal frets, which you can see there, and rather than being just like chromatic, like on a guitar or a bass or whatever, where you go A sharp, B, C, C sharp, so on and so forth. In this case, it's specific to an actual scale. I don't know the name of that scale, and I don't know the microtone names off the top of my head. I just play in this case, but it is kind of like if you had like a pentatonic scale and added two microtones. Also, the tuning is in fourths, so that would be like on a guitar, the top two strings, B, E. That's actually like the standard tuning, but the strings that came on this are so small, like thin, that for that tuning, it just sounded kind of bad, so I tuned it up. I believe I might have it up a whole step or a half step from there. But anyway. So it's like pentatonic, and then in between you have those microtones, which sound a little bit off to your ear if you're used to Western music. This instrument is actually really easy and fun to play, for me anyway. So I guess a little bit specifics of like how you actually play this. I'm sure that in Albania they have like actual Çifteli picks or whatever that they use for it. I just use a normal guitar pick. Well, it's not normal. If you can see, it's like paper thin. Very easy to bend. I got this with like my very first guitar 7 years ago, and I've never really had a use for it because it's just so thin. It sounds horrible on guitar, but it works really well for these non-Western instruments because the strings are so thin. Thicker picks just kind of don't work very well. And then I also don't know any actual like pieces on a Çifteli. It's really hard to find any like actual instructional material out there on it. Most videos on YouTube are just people like trying to promote their shop where they sell Çiftelis, and so they're just playing flashy licks. So I just kind of fake it till I make it, and I just jam around. I mean, it's hard to make it sound too bad because it is diatonic. There's no way you're going to be out of key, or it's specific to one scale. And then I use a lot of what's called ornamentation. You'll see that kind of playing a lot in this this style of music, like Albanian folk music, Turkish folk music, Arabic, just like Middle Eastern, that kind of area of the world, Eastern European. And you'll also see it a lot in classical music. Not exactly the same kind of ornamentation, but it's essentially like playing one note and then like playing really fast a note above it or below it. Or doing like a re-entrant, going, so like the main note, up a note, down to the main note, down to a note below that, and then back up to the main note. Just that kind of stuff. Sorry for all the dead air. I'm just not great at talking on screen. I guess I'll leave you with one other idea that I have on this, because that thing I was playing at the beginning was just something I came up with. I hope you learned a little bit about this instrument that honestly I never heard of until I saw a random video of someone playing it. And if you are interested in seeing more stuff like this, if you have any tips for how to be better on screen, I wouldn't mind that. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And also, if you like this and if you want to see more educational content, but also videos on just like ideas I've come up with on various instruments and stuff like that, Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and just, let me know what you think. All right, stay corny.